drafting of data protection bill of this country. And he presented that there is a possibility of coexistence of both right to privacy and right to information. This is a very, very conflicting, interesting and controversial subject. Can right to privacy sustain along with transparency is a big question. And then when you recognize consent as a defense to privacy, and how the consent is obtained by the online big data collectors and high-tech companies, how do they collect your consent? Is it an informed consent? Is it a verified consent? Is it a retractable consent? These are all questions with reference to consent. Okay, we leave it as that aside for some time being. And then we have to discuss whether right to privacy as we see today in India or elsewhere, will it hamper the free flow of information under Right to Information Act? This is the very serious concern. And as a commissioner, I have great experience of facing denials of information based on the 8.1J. The 8.1J is the most dreaded subclass of exceptions under Right to Information Act. And it says that personal information not related to public activity can be exempted to be given. That's fine. It reads very well and it protects right to privacy to a great extent. I'd like to tell you the right to privacy as such is a confused concept in India for the last several centuries, several decades. But recently it was settled. Concept of privacy as a fundamental right is settled and finalized in 2017 by 9-judge bench of Supreme Court in India. Fine, that's a great achievement. But then there are several issues of privacy. One, privacy of a citizen vis-a-vis the state's abuse, state surveillance, state search, state seizure, all the things, and your mass surveillance of by the camera. What is that? CCTV cameras. That is one aspect. Then second aspect of privacy is the right of a citizen to hold his private affairs to himself as vis-a-vis the media, the high-tech organizations, corporations who use your personal data for their own purposes. And we have seen with several scandals like Facebook has collecting the data and this Analytica has scandalized it. And they are going to take our information and then put it for their commercial purposes and use it for commercial purposes without your permission, without even your knowledge. Forget about permission. Whether you know that your information is being taken, nobody can say anything about it. So that is the situation. Earlier, it was only a tort. A privacy is a tort, that means a civil wrong, where you can get some compensation through a court of law from a person who violated your privacy. It's a very small, and in India, law of torts is not very well practiced. So we can't depend on that kind of a remedy for getting remedies, for getting compensation for invasion of privacy. This is the situation. Then both of them, right to privacy and right to information, are fundamental rights. And we can use them for making government accountable. That's also possible. But the way privacy as an excuse, privacy being used as an excuse is the problem. The definition, as you find in Right to Information Act, I told you the concept is clear, but the law is not. There is no law of privacy in India. Still now there is no law. And the 9-judge bench says what privacy should be, but it doesn't define what it is. It doesn't define. If 9 judges cannot define privacy, can 545 MPs do that? Who will define the privacy? It's a very big issue. Supreme Court did not define, and we are left with no law to define what privacy is. Without defining what is privacy, how can we protect privacy is a big question. And not only that, it is not only a problem for protecting privacy, but not defining privacy is a problem for protecting the fundamental right to information also. If you don't define privacy in a proper way by law, it will be a very, very difficult process for implementing Right to Information Act and achieving information through RTA processes. This is the point that we should remember it. Then I'd like to give 2 examples. One, an officer of high-ranking officer of India who was working in what is that I can say, intelligence agency. I don't want to name either agency nor the person because I have to protect the privacy of that person. I'm not doing it. But it's an open judgment available in the list of judgments I gave. The second, it comes in second appeal to commission. Her own medical information. She was admitted in a mental hospital because of some political reason or some rivalry within the office. She was admitted in a medical hospital, and that hospital is a public authority. And she wanted to know what treatment was given to her for 1 month and what is the result and what is it she has to do now. And the doctors and the PIO and the institution denied. She came to me, and then I have to decide whether she has a right to medical information or not against the public authority holding that information, which is a doctor. I said she has a right to access her own private information. It is her private information. She must have it. And the denial continued. I don't know what happened after my order, because Government of India and several government departments have a very good remedy against the orders of disclosure. That is constitutional courts, going to constitutional courts and filing writ petitions. So they filed writ petition. The state files writ petition for their protection of their rights, not the citizen. So state and departments, various departments filed writ petitions against disclosure orders of Information Commission, making Information Commission a party. And then it is pending and nobody knows what will happen. There are, if you believe, I can tell you, there are thousands of such writ petitions against disclosure orders of the Information Commission. That's a dynamic happening that we have to take note of. Fine. Then, in the absence of law and in the absence of proper definition in the law, it is difficult to get the information. This is one problem, that I don't have access to my own private information. That is one example I gave. Second example I would like to give you is my colleague Shailesh Gandhi has given an order that RBI, which is a regulatory, Reserve Bank of India, which is the regulatory of banking in India, has a duty to disclose the information of the major loan defaulters, who did not pay more than 100 crore loan to pay back to the banks. Then Reserve Bank of India, not those private banks, not those account holders, but Reserve Bank of India says it's a private information, fiduciary information, I will not give. Now, the case goes up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court decided it is not private information. It is not privacy protected one. You have to give the information. Then RBI declares on its website that this information I am not going to give, because it is fiduciary information, because it's private information, personal information. It is protected under Bankers Books Evidence Act, that act, this act, they say we don't give. Then another second appeal came before me asking for the information about defaulters, bank defaulters. Then I said, Supreme Court agreed that it is not a private information. Why are you withholding it? Then please give. Then PIO says, sir, I am not responsible for it, sir. The information was blocked by the policy decision, which was taken by the Board of Directors of Reserve Bank of India. Then whom should I issue the show cause notice? And in Indian RTI Act, we have a provision that the person who has the possession of the records but refusing to give the records, I have to consider him as a deemed PIO. And I issued a notice to the RBI, governor of RBI, to tell whether you are giving this information or not. Then my term was over. I demitted my office after completion of 5 years. And even today, it's a fluid situation, nothing concrete happened. Again, Supreme Court decided, third time recently, Supreme Court decided that you have to give this information. So there are two issues: whether I can access my own private information from the control of the public authority, number one. Number two, as a citizen, can I access to information about bank defaulters, which is wrongfully interpreted as private information by the public authority. These two cases reflect the situation world over, which is facing us. Now coming to the act, Personal Data Protection Act, not act, there is no act, it is only a bill, 2019. Justice Sri Krishna was appointed as a commission to study the possibility of framing a law for data protection. Then he came out with a report and a bill, draft bill in 2018, which is really, I don't know how far it is good on data protection, but there are very serious features of that law, that proposed law, which says if a person using the private information of another for journalistic purposes, I'm talking about only journalistic purposes and RTA related matter because we are celebrating World Press Freedom Day today. Now, what is going to be the impact on press freedom by if the draft bill of Sri Krishna is made, or the present bill which is accepted by the Indian cabinet in 2019 is made? What is going to happen to Indian journalism? That is my concern today. I will be talking about that and RTA also. Very interestingly, according to new bill which is approved by the cabinet, RTA seeker of information, if he gets information from the public authority and confirmed by the Information Commission, he will become a data fiduciary, data processor, data user. Now, the private information of the data principal has to be protected. That is what the PDP law is, private personal data protection law says. Now, who will decide whether the journalist is using the information? Shyam Lal Yadav must listen to me. Shyam Lal Yadav has filed thousands of petitions and got thousands of pieces of information, and he built them into stories and published them in Indian Express and various other newspapers. Fantastic. I appreciate him. But now tomorrow, what will be his position? If this bill becomes law, the adjudicating officer is one officer appointed by the Data Protection Authority in India if the 2019 bill becomes law. And do you know who is this adjudicating officer? He is not a judge. Then who is he? He must be some bureaucrat or some officer of perhaps a gazetted officer, rank officer. That rules have to be framed, and that will be framed by the government of India. So the law says adjudicating officer will impose penalties on data processor ranging from 15 crore rupees, $2.1 million, 15 crore rupees to 10,000 rupees, depending on the seriousness of the violations. If this journalist has not used that information properly means what? In accordance with the Press Council of India's code, in accordance with the self-regulatory body's code, and who will decide whether he has used the data for in accordance with the journalistic code and the Press Council of India code? Adjudicating officer will decide. And what is the experience of adjudicating officer in deciding the media matters? Nobody knows. And he decides and he imposes a penalty. Let us suppose, say, the penalty is so high, 4% of turnover of the organization or the individual world over will be the penalty if he violates. Then he will be fined. And do you know what is the next remedy available for the journalist? He has to go to appellate tribunal. And if appellate tribunal confirms it, he has to go to courts. So this is a straight away assault on freedom of speech and expression. An ordinary adjudicating officer who is not an independent authority like Information Commission in Sri Lanka. I'm not trying to quote Information Commission with reference to other countries, including India, because we have amended Indian Right to Information Act to dilute the independence of the Information Commissions. Unfortunate. I'm not going to deal much about it. So even the independence of an office like Indian Information Commission, who is appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of Prime Minister headed committee, is not independent. How can an adjudicating officer who is appointed by an authority, that authority being appointed by solely by central government? Central government appoints personal data protection authority. Anybody can be appointed and it has power to remove. Whenever the government has power to remove, the independence of the authority is removed, totally removed. That is a principle that anybody can understand. So this this authority who is appointed by the central government will appoint an adjudicating officer who is again not an independent officer. And the appointment process of adjudicating officer depends on the process prescribed by the central government. And then the journalist is subjected to this adjudicating officer's adjudication. So what will happen to Press Council of India? Subjugated. What will happen to an RTA petitioner? Let us come to RTA. Suppose an RTA, like Shyam Lal Yadav being a journalist, he filed an RTA, got some information about a leader, scandalous leader. He got some personal information about it, and he has got some proofs also. Then he processes it into a news item and publishes. Now he is before adjudicating officer. He is, as an RTA applicant and information seeker, he is before the adjudicating officer. And he has to face what I'll told you now, the fabulous penalties and all this. Now let us look at the other angle, other aspects of the personal data protection bill. There is a heavy regulation, heavy regulation. less protection, more regulation, no independence to the authority, and very high power given to that unindependent or non-independent authority who is not appointed by an independent committee, who cannot be questioned on the grounds of bias. That is not the situation. At least the process of appointment of Information Commission in India is not prescribed for the process of, as a process of appointment of commission or authority for data protection in this country. So with this kind of situation, if you look at the possibility and prospects of right to information, I think it's a very fluid, and I cannot say anything. And one more point before I conclude, I'd like to say how the privacy clause is being used by the public authorities, PIOs. My friend Yadav and Venkatesh Naik and others know it, and we have also discussed when the Information Commission of Sri Lanka came to India. We also discussed this issue. What happens there is one judgment of 2010 of Supreme Court, Girish Ramchandra Deshpande. He said, in this case, he wanted to know what action was taken against a public servant on a complaint for which there was a disciplinary action. So that means a public servant was subjected to a complaint, disciplinary action was taken, or inquiry was conducted. We do not know what action was taken. Whether inquiry was shelved out or was he punished, we do not know. So this information is sought. Among several other points of information, this is one part of the information. Then PIO rejected it as personal information, First Appellate Authority rejected, Commission rejected, and then it goes to High Court, rejected, and the Division Bench rejected, Supreme Court rejected. And Supreme Court, while rejecting, says, I'll conclude, sir. I think if I'm crossing time, I'll conclude in a minute. Please bear with me. So the Supreme Court also dismissed the appeal and confirmed that it's private information, but it is only a dismissal of a special leave petition. I argued that it is not a precedent. It's a very constitutional question. Forget about it. But this Ramchandra Deshpande judgment has been converted into an office memorandum of DOPT in India, which is the nodal agency for implementation of Right to Information Act. And it is circulated to thousands and lakhs of PIOs all over the country who are supposed to follow this and reject the information. This is causing serious damage. So the usage of privacy as an excuse is a threat to right to information, and not defining privacy in a perfect manner is a threat to right to information, and giving enormous powers to adjudicating officer who is not a judicial officer, who is not an independent authority, and who is not even equivalent to authority in under new bill is dangerous to not only to right to information, but freedom of speech and expression also, which we are talking today on World Press Freedom Day. Thank you very much for this opportunity.